Hey, I'm Cheyenne, and I work here at the Thrust Flight and Admissions Department, helping students navigate their way into the air. And hopefully today, with you, I'll help you figure out how to get your student in the air in a way that makes sense for both you and for them. So today we're just going to go through a little bit about financing, what that's going to look like, all safety concerns that we might have, student experience, and the pathway to the airlines, and what it's going to look like once we get there. Let's chat. So our program is a 9-month accelerated program where students coming in, they're getting 6 ratings in a very short amount of time. Those first 3 are kind of the basis of being a pilot. The last 3 is that professional development. As they're moving through those ratings, now they're eligible to start getting paid, but they end off these programs with about 200 hours. That's not going to be enough to go to the regionals. So after they have 200 hours, they've got to build to 1,500. In order to do that, the best way to do it is to get paid. So most students become a flight instructor. They learn a lot about themselves and a lot more about other people. It's the most rewarding thing that you can do is help others up in aviation and turn around and build other pilots. But there are other jobs. If they feel, hey, listen, I don't want to be a flight instructor. I want to do something different. There are other jobs like flying the pipeline. They can go and they can become skydiving pilots, which is always a lot of fun. They can get their seaplane rating and then go and do tours in Alaska or in the Bahamas. So depending on where your student is going to feel most comfortable, there are other jobs and other opportunities. We have just seen that becoming a flight instructor is the most steadfast way to build that time to 1,500. And of course, here at Thrust, we only hire our own students. As you've probably seen in our course catalog, between the commercial level and the CFI level, we have something built into our program called the Professional Pilot course. This is actually where we teach your student all the things they probably haven't been exposed to yet. How to sit in an interview, how to dress for an interview, how their resume should look, how to explain what's on their resume, but most importantly, how to have 2 resumes and be the one that catches their eye. We also host a ton of events here at Thrust where we're going to different flying museums. We're out in the community with women in aviation. We're going out and we're teaching your student how to network because that's probably something they haven't seen in the past. Aviation is nothing but a huge community of aviators who want to support that next generation, but we have to get them out in front of those. So in addition to all of that, we also host events here at Thrust where we bring in people from our corporate sponsors and our partnerships like American Airlines, Republic, Envoy. They'll come here with their recruiters and they'll chat with your students. It's important to start this early on because we still have about, like we talked about, 2 years before they're going to be headed to the regionals. And there's so much work that can be done in between then in order to make them ready for that timeline. The hardest part about flight training is the financing. It is the one thing that I hear every single day of how am I going to make this dream become a reality? And it's tough. I will tell you, I'm a pilot. I sat in the very same situation with how am I going to be able to afford this? And looking into it, the best pathway ultimately is up to you. You can self-pay this out of pocket, something I tried to do. My private pilot took me over 7 months because I was working full-time jobs and pushing and trying to make this work. But in 9 months, these students are coming through and they're done with all 6 of their ratings. So for me, it was a time cost analysis, trying to figure out how much my time was worth. And I ultimately decided that it was valuable and it was something I didn't want to waste. So I looked into the options. At this moment, the premier flight training partner for financing is Sallie Mae, and that's what we offer here at Thrust. You will see that loan and you will get out of it. How though? That's the question. How am I going to get out of this loan? Well, whenever they become a flight instructor, your student will then start making payments. They have about 6 months before they have to start remaking payments. So the goal is to transition quickly into being a flight instructor. They'll start making back those payments to Sallie Mae. And then about 6 months after that, they'll have the option to refinance. We highly, highly, highly recommend refinancing your loan to bring the interest rate down, but also so we can look into a better payment because we're not going to make $1 million right off the bat. However, once you get to the airlines, most airlines offer a signing bonus. And we have to talk to our students, hey, listen, we're not going to buy a Dodge Challenger as soon as we get our first signing bonus. Instead, we're going to put that back to our loan, start putting that back to our principal amount. every time an upgrade happens, that's the term that they use at the airline. So you go from being a first officer to a captain, there's generally one, a pay increase, but two, a bonus that happens. That money has to go right back to the loan. And then again, at the airlines, you'll see these huge signing bonuses, and they change depending on the season, depending on the need, but they're anywhere from $10,000 to $25,000 per bonus, and that's not including their quarterly bonuses. So those numbers are very fluid, they change all the time, but we do keep them up to date on thrustflight.com with the current signing bonuses and the salaries. That way you can view that and compare that to what your students' dreams and goals are. We do have a couple students here, and 5 years later at the airlines, their loan is paid off. The biggest thing is this is not a 15-year loan. We cannot let it go to its full 15-year amount. At 5 years, with all of our signing bonuses and no Dodge Challengers, hopefully we've got it paid off. So we all know how kids can be. And sometimes, they come in, they say, Mom, I'm gonna be a doctor. And then when they were 7, it's, I'm gonna be a veterinarian. And when they're 11, it changes. And now they wanna be an airline pilot. Totally get where you're coming from on that. What I highly recommend to every student, every parent, is that we let our student take a discovery flight. Students generally know on that takeoff, whether it's a heck yeah or it's a heck no on being an airline pilot. For me, there was nothing like it. Once I saw the world from that view, that was it. The most unnatural thing to do is to fly. Your student would know in that discovery flight if it's something for them. So I highly recommend joining us here and taking one at Thrust. Your admissions advisor can coordinate and set that up for you. So safety, what we're always worried about with our kids, and Thrust, it's our utmost importance, and it has to be. You can't continue through flight training and ever waver in your commitment to safety. So a couple things that we do to put in place. One, we are regulated by the FAA. So that comes into every part of our training. That comes into our training portion where you're with flight instructors, but most importantly, it comes into our maintenance side as well. So with our training syllabus, it is a dedicated, straightforward, well thought out and FAA approved course. They have mandated the entire thing. They have looked at the entire thing and then said, actually, this is amazing. Let's give you examining authority. And we'll chat about examining authority. It's this fantastic thing that means that we get to do our own check rides, which ultimately cuts down in cost for you, but most importantly, time for your student. So we have examining authority. It is all regulated, but so is the maintenance side. All flight schools do have to adhere to certain maintenance inspections, the biggest one being the 100-hour inspection. So students will fly airplanes that are continuously maintained by maintenance professionals called an A&P, or airframe and power plant mechanic, to make sure that those airplanes are ready to go. A lot of students tend to forsake going to college and coming to Thrust instead and pursuing something that's more similar to a trade school. We have taken a ton of precautions to still give that experience. So we do have student events that are going on throughout the month. We love to cater Chick-fil-A. If you hear anything about us, it's that we eat a lot of Chick-fil-A. And we ultimately want the students to want to be here. That is the difference between whether or not your student will complete their program. It's not the type of airplane. It's not going to be the instructor they fly with. It's going to be that the overall holistic school is something and somewhere that your student feels safe. Here at Thrust, it is important to us that your student wants to be here, because if they want to be here, they finish their program. They are getting ready to experience the most amount of personal development that they most likely have in their very young adult life. Over the next 9 months, your student moves in with us. We get to know your student for who they are as a person and who they're going to be professionally. The hardest thing is that students are adjusting not only to a new lifestyle, but a new language and a new just overall profession. During that time, it is 9 months. It is immersive. They are here from sun up to sundown, getting immersed in this program, and that's the only way forward. So we might see during their training, they're not coming home as often or on the weekends as much, but it's important that for 9 months, they are here. They are putting in the work. They are hustling it out. They will be off for Christmas, but it's not going to be an extended Christmas break that they were most likely used to in grade school and coming through high school. It's going to be one day where they get to be off. There's never usually more than one day scheduled back to back where they'll be off for a holiday. Now they will get some days off, they do need rest and recovery. So we expect that they'll be here 5 to 7 days a week. What we do see is that students need some time off. And if we identify that and we say, hey, we need a mental break or we need a study break, we do allot that into their program. If your student ever feels that they need more time, they can definitely come and chat with someone in our scheduling department. And ultimately, this is a professional development program, so we want to show them what it's going to be like when they get to the airlines. The airlines operate 365 days a year, and their busiest times are during the holidays. So they will get immersed early on to what it's like to work for a regional or a mainline carrier. Hopefully that answered majority of your questions. If you still have some that are lingering, feel free to give us a call anytime. We're happy to chat. We understand that this is a huge financial undertaking, but also a lot of trust that you're placing in us. We love to give you all the answers that you need. We'll talk soon, or if you'd like to, you can visit us at thrustflight.com.